Monday Night Raw starts off with John Cena. He cuts a promo, and it was a very typical John Cena promo you would typically expect. As of right now, during his retirement tour, basically the promo was basically him just mentioning the crowd, mentioning basically him just mentioning the crowd, and then he mentions Brock Lesnar, how he's not afraid of Brock and that he's gonna do whatever it takes. That's basically it. It was just him just rambling on about the crowd, and then him doing, mentioning a few things about Brock Lesnar. Very lazy, very predictable. This is what I expected when John Cena came out. I didn't expect much. Um, I'm just ready for this to end. I'm just ready for this match to end. I'm hoping they do not drag this feud out because we do not need multiple matches from Brock Lesnar and John Cena. I'm over it. I just want this to end. So hopefully we just get the match over with. John Cena wins and we move on because this is just very lazy. Like, it's just very lazy at this point. Very lazy. Like, I don't understand it. Like, what was the point of bringing Brock Lesnar back if you didn't have plans to actually build towards the match? Like, I just don't understand it. I get bringing him back for shock value and for money reasons and attention, but you couldn't at least thought it through at least. But it is what it is. I'm not going to speak too much about this because there's nothing really to go over. There's nothing really to say here. All he did was just ramble and ramble and ramble. And I love John Cena, but he has been doing this a lot in his retirement tour where he rambled. Well, not really a lot. Mainly, well, no, actually, he has done this a lot in his retirement because he did it as a heel as well. It was just insulting the crowd. But he was just rambling on about the crowd. And then he ends up just mentioning Brock Lesnar, mentioning how he's never going to give up. And he's, and mentions Russell Palooza. That's really it. So we'll see how the match plays out, but I honestly just don't care. Now we end up getting Lyra Raquel versus Roxanne Perez. This was a really good match. Really enjoyed this match. Really thought this match was absolutely great. Really enjoyed this match. Raquel ended up getting she ends up getting tossed out the band from ringside. She ended up pulling Lyra's leg when she was going towards the ropes, so she ended up getting kicked out. This allowed Lyra Raquel to pick up the victory. After the match, of course, Judgment Day attacked Lyra. Then you get the return of Bayley. She returns. She ends up making a save, and then she ends up having a bipolar split personality moment where she turns to Lyra and it looks like she was about to attack Lyra. She had like a very serious, mean mug face on her. Then out of nowhere, she just starts smiling. And then she starts hugging him. She hugged Wade Barrett, Joe Tessitore. She hugged fans. She's hugging the cameraman. So it looks like we're getting a bit of a split personality here because later in the show was a moment where Lyra ended up going into her locker room and you could hear her talking to herself. She's going back and forth between Hugger Bayley and Heel Bayley. She walks in her locker room, ends up thanking her for the save, but then she ends up flipping the switch, turning back into Heel Bayley. She ends up calling her an idiot, which I love. I like what they're doing with this. I love this. This is exactly what I wanted. Her going back and forth between being a babyface and heel, having them little voices in her head, not knowing which side to choose between being the good version and the bad. I like what they're doing with this. It's kind of like that angel and devil storyline to a degree. I like what they're doing here. This is very interesting. Now I know for some this could be a bit cringe and corny, but it's WWE, it's professional wrestling. When hasn't wrestling been cringe and corny? But this is great. I really enjoy what they're doing here. This has a lot of potential. I hope it goes somewhere because Triple H has a history within the past few years of not booking Bayley the best. He has a history of not booking Bayley that well, so hopefully this goes somewhere. I'm very interested to see how this plays out. I think this has a lot of potential. I think this could be one of the better characters. And of course, I'm assuming this is going to be a heel character. I think this could be one of the better characters in WWE and all of wrestling if executed right. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out. We end up getting a quick segment with Jay and Jimmy. Earlier in the show, Jay and LA Knight was, going back and forth. Adam Pearce has to break it up. Then Adam Pearce is like, what's gonna fix the issues between the two? And LA Knight basically says he wants a tag match and he wants to choose his partner to choose. And of course, the tag match is between the Bronze, of course. And he wants Jimmy Uso to be his partner. He ends up confronting Jimmy, basically telling Jimmy that he cannot team with LA Knight, that he must say no. Jimmy took offense to that because it seems a bit controlling that he must say no to him. And then Jay was like, look, the only thing we need to focus on is our family and destroy the Bronze, and that's it. And then Jimmy ends up telling him to change his tone because the last time he checked, he does not have the Ula follow. Then Jimmy ended up, because, yeah, well, before that segment happened, Jimmy ended up declining the offer, declining to be LA Knight's tag partner because of Jay. But then after the segment that I just explained, he ended up agreeing to be his tag partner. I like what they're doing here. I like what they're doing here, showing Jay having more of those Roman Reigns tendencies, picking up the advice of Roman Reigns. I like what they're doing here. Now, I don't know where this is going to lead. This could potentially lead to Jimmy Uso versus Jay Uso Part 2. Now, the feud and the match itself wasn't that good, but to be fair, WWE was very lazy with the booking of that feud, to be fair. And I think this has the potential to be better if they are going to feud again with the roles reversed. Now, on the other hand, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't hate the idea of them feuding because I think the feud can actually be great if WWE isn't lazy. But the problem with WWE right now, even though I am currently enjoying the product, it's more, like I said, I don't think the product is as bad as people are saying it. I think a lot of you fans are overreacting. Like, watch the 2010s, bro. Like, 2019 is a perfect example of a bad product. Like, this product isn't bad. It's okay. It's all right. It's just very predictable and nothing is shocking, if that makes sense. That's all it is. It's not bad. It's just okay. But it has potential to be great. I just want them to actually put effort into it if they're going to go this route. This can go a lot of ways though. This is one of the few things where you can actually do some turns and twists here and some unpredictability with this storyline. So I'm very interested to see how this actually plays out. We end up getting Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, and we end up getting CM Punk and AJ Lee. They both confront each other. They're basically hyping up the match for WrestlePalooza. Punk ends up basically saying that can Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch work together as a union, or is their egos gonna, get in the mix and cost them the match? Seth ends up mentioning how CM Punk has a bigger ego than all of them. The main thing was really Becky Lynch mentioning AJ Lee's neck and how she's a liability due to her neck injury. AJ responds, ends up saying that her neck won't be the issue. The issue is that she's very unpredictable and that you can't predict what she's going to do. Seth Rollins responds, ends up saying that she needs to watch herself because CM Punk has a tendency of leaving when things start to get rough and when he's disappointed. Then of course he ends up leading to them losing the match, and that when Becky Lynch ends up destroying her, will CM Punk leave AJ Lee? AJ Lee ends up slapping Seth Rollins. Then Seth Rollins ends up saying that he would never put his hands on a woman, but he knows someone that will. Becky Lynch looked very confused. Seth Rollins wants Becky Lynch to attack, but Becky Lynch refused. They're arguing. Then you end up getting CM Punk chasing after Seth Rollins because Becky Lynch ends up leaving the ring. But then this ends up leading to Becky Lynch coming back into the ring, hitting a manhandle slam onto AJ Lee. CM Punk, of course, gets back in the ring, and then Becky Lynch slaps him twice. I personally like this. It was a solid promo overall. I like them tricking CM Punk and AJ into thinking that they're not on the same page, only for them to be on the same page. I'm very excited for the match. Very interested how this plays out. I thought it was a decent segment. I did feel like at points it was not as entertaining as it could have been, but overall I did enjoy the segment, and I can't wait to see how that match plays out at WrestlePalooza. We ended up getting a match between Stephanie McMahon versus Kairi Sane. The match ended up becoming official due to a backstage segment where Io Sky was talking to Stephanie. Of course, Asuka interrupt. They have a back and forth, so this ends up becoming a match. Stephanie, of course, ends up picking the victory. Then you get Stephanie back. You end up getting Asuka. She comes in the ring, tries to attack and confront Stephanie by her, but Io Sky ends up coming out to make sure to prevent Asuka from attacking Stephanie by her. Then later in the show, we end up getting a segment where Asuka and Io, they're going back and forth. So this is continuing the story of Asuka being that jealous friend of Io Sky, where she wants to help Io, but Io wants to do things on her own. I like what they're doing here. I like that they're finally giving character development for Io Sky and Asuka. Finally, they're actually doing something with these women. Very interested where the story goes. Very interested to see the potential feud, whether or not it's for the Women's World Championship or not. I think it could be a very interesting storyline, especially because I think eventually Rhea Ripley will get in this storyline as well. So very curious to see how this plays out. I like what they're doing here. Then we get the main event. The Bronze versus LA Knight, Jimmy Uso. The Bronze picked up the victory. They won cleanly, which I do like. I like that they won cleanly. After the match, of course, you get the typical attack. Jey Uso comes out for the save. Then after the save, you end up getting LA Knight, Jey Uso shake hands, and then you get LA Knight attacking Jey Uso. I like this. I know it's been the same ending for the past few weeks with minor tweaks, but I actually enjoyed this. I like what they did here. Very interested to see where the storyline goes because they're both baby faces, so I'm assuming one of them will turn heel eventually. I would prefer LA Knight because I've been saying that LA Knight just feels more like a heel with his character, but it looks like they're turning Jay heel. Very interested to see how this plays out because I can see either one turning heel because I think one of them do need to turn heel in my opinion. I just mainly prefer LA Knight to turn heel because his character fits that more, but very interested to see where this goes. Overall, I thought this was a good episode of Raw. I enjoyed the show overall, but you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.